Greetings, greetings, greetings. So I felt led to make a video. I think I have some that I need to upload. But this video is based on some conversations that I've had. And auntie just be meeting people, right? So in my meeting people and having conversations, this thing keeps coming up, and I figured I needed to make a video about it because I realized not everybody has had the same experience, right? And people come to America and they take pictures in Times Square, right? Yeah, you don't reach America till you go take pictures in Times Square. I wonder why people don't do that so much on the San Francisco Bridge. But anyway. And they will come and they wouldn't move from the space they're in. They won't go and visit and go and see other places. Especially to get a good idea of like what America is. So you can see all the hidden information and be aware with the land and the inhabitants, the citizens. And so you could also recognize like who is indigenous as well, right? And if you don't know Guyanese, right? And let me tell you, plenty Guyanese people, they will tell you they travel. They never even travel and go to Brazil, but they will tell you that they travel. They will leave from JFK and end up at Chadi Jagan, and they will go back to JFK and go back to Chadi Jagan into Mary in Georgetown. And they will say that they have traveled. Now, because this conversation happened with someone younger, but also a mature person as well, this thing where they feel like a woman isn't supposed to see some places because she's a woman, that one isn't good, right? Yeah, you gotta go talk to Olua about that. But then the thing of like, I don't know somebody, so I can't go there. That one doesn't make any sense to me because this country have several logistical modes of transportation you can use. They have the bus, Greyhound, Peter Pan, they're the same company. I think Megabus, they're the same company. There's several of them. That logistical system is primarily ran by the Chinese, okay? Especially if you're on the East Coast and you're going into the Carolinas and all that place, right? Because they have lots of those companies too that are not part of those bigger stationed companies. Then after the bus, you got the train. And I saw myself, I witnessed myself telling somebody that I said, well, the train doesn't come off the track. Right? Because if you're in New York and you want to take a train and go, say you want to go to Washington, D.C., you want to go and see the White House, right? That's an easy little trip. You could take bus, you could take train. They're going to And you can make that trip without making any pit stops, right? Then when you're in Florida, you can go from North Florida all the way to South Florida on the Bright Line, right? The train. Or you can take Amtrak too. You can all in bus, right? Okay. So I say all of that to say that little man to scratch me, I wash me hair yesterday. I gotta moisturize my scalp. I say all of that to say that travel is not out of your reach if you don't want it to be out of your reach, right? Travel is not out of your reach. And if you they're in this place and you have a US passport, you must use them. But here is the caveat. All you that come from the Caribbean and CARICOM, right? You can use your passport and you can go to places. You can take direct flight. I think they got direct flights now. I'm waiting on them people from Nigeria to start up their flights. I think they're supposed to be going directly from Nigeria to Barbados or something like that. But going into Nigeria airport into there is dicey. That is dicey. Ask the Nigerians, right? Yeah. You need like 100K for even move through the airport. The way people gonna But I bet in Tanzania they will send you on plane barefoot if they can. Me say so. So, you want to go and see places. Every state has a museum. Every state has has historical rights societies and in them kind of places. So you want to utilize it. Now come here. Don't come to America and then you haven't even gone to the next major city. Right? I ain't saying everybody gotta go frolicking in Miami. I ain't saying that. That's not for everybody, right? And not everybody is a beach person. That one surprised me. My big age, I had to learn that. I'm like, why are you living in Florida? Why are you living in Miami? Why are you living in Broward County and you don't like the beach? That confuses me about people, right? Because if you like to be by the water, you like everything that comes with the water. I think I get more exposure, man. Because it is going to change the way you see your fellow human beings on this globe. You know how I always know a good Caucasian individual is when they have taken the time to go and travel and see other places. People don't realize that wealth is not only determined by fiat, right? Wealth is determined also by being ambulatory. It's by experiences, tastes, all of that, right? Because then you can get to experience all the good sides of human evolution and how it has progressed from its original source, regardless of what culture. Right? A big red flag for me, because the peoples the peoples is be talking to me, right? A big red flag for me is you cannot did drive an expensive sports car and you don't have a passport. How you don't got a passport, friend? So in the world where the goddesses are talking to the peoples, right? How the peoples want to have conversation, excuse me, about being a traditional woman and are you some them stupid questions. Them questions we don't even answer. I don't being able. Right? That's a good thing about getting mature. And you can't go and follow me and go no way. You can't recommend or take me anyway. You cannot help us get out of the experience we're having in an emergency because you don't even know how to talk to people or flag down a car and you can't ask nobody. You can't greet them. You can't ask for a glass of water. You can't do anything. And you think you want to go and tell someone that has had those experiences already that they must listen to you hook and crook? Like, what? No. We gotta stop normalizing those kind of things. You understand? I can get back to soaking myself, yeah? But you got to experience things. Because if you don't, any little strippity, flighty, shiny object is going to be grabbing your attention like it's something important when it was made in a sweatshop. Right? You know who I think has like a great grasp of understanding that is people that wear handmade clothes. Yeah, people that wear handmade clothes. People that are interested in geopolitics. People that they have friends from other countries and stuff like that. Like it's truly reflected in their life. Not the arbitrary brown face, the one that you gotta be wondering if they made it out of the event alive. Not that, right? And because we have to improve this thing that's going on here, right? There's no allyship in this country. Y'all know that already, right? Patriarchy's taking the slow route, taking the local train to die. Right? Patriarchy gotta die by Thanksgiving. That's my goal. And I feel like there's just so many other pastas and curries and breads to go and taste and experience, and salads and pickles and chutneys and honeys, right? To go and experience, especially if you're somebody like those are like your common things. Because now if it's your common thing, you're automatically going to be wondering about it. What is it like if I got one that was made by like angry African bees? What does that honey taste like? Hmm? What does honey taste like from the beekeeper in Berbice in Guyana? What does that honey taste like? You know? What does honey taste like that is in Delhi? What does honey taste like that is in Brazil? All right? Let me give y'all a little something. This is free. You don't gotta pay for this one. But you see all the next one, you gotta pay consulting for them, right? And if you have not looked at my new website yet, please do. It is www.providencelifedesign.com. All right? Especially if you're an educator and you want to go and see places and you want to utilize your time off from school. But let me tell you a little quick thing. When you go to, I want you to know that travel does not always look like you departing from one airport and arriving in another airport. Travel doesn't always look like that. You should always ask, how do the locals travel? This is going to be chock full, so get your little pencil and all of that going on, right? If you're going to West Africa, anywhere in Africa, you want to use whatever the local transportation is. You see, when we go to New York, we know to use the train. Here is the little caveat. If you know how to master the NYC transit system, you can easily go to London in England and you can master moving about and go to all the boroughs you want to go to in England and still go shopping in London. And you don't need to know somebody there to go and do that. You know why? Because you can read a transit map and you know that you got to connect on different lines and all of that. So if you've mastered NYC, you could master UK. You could even go across several countries in the UK because you have mastered using the train in New York City. If you plan on getting the most real experience, social cues, understanding behavior and social etiquette anywhere, you want to take whatever that local bus is. Mini bus, we call it different things in Jamaica and Trinidad, like Caribbean, you call it mini bus, right? And when you're in a certain area, say you take the thing, you go up the road. That's anything that is moving. That is a car, a four-door car, or it'll be a mini bus, or you hop on the back of somebody's wagon, right? The next thing too is that you always got to ask yourself, how do the locals move about? Because it was in my big age, I had to go and get, what do you call it? Permissions, whatever permissions, to go from through the Guyanas, right? I just remembered French Guiana. Anyway. And you have to know that whether you're in Central America, you're in them place or wherever the case may be, how do locals travel? Right? I was able to do full on bucket list experiences because I paid attention to how locals travel. One time I was backpacking. I was traveling through several countries. And this is why that if you want to do those kind of tours, you should reach me on my website, right? Or you can send a message right here. And when I was backpacking, Me and my travel partner were the only black women backpacking and going and see places and going to see Mapaka and all them kind of places. How are you going to go if you feel that if you cannot afford how much money plane ticket to go somewhere that you cannot get there? You can get there. You can do the little short logistical things, the ones that we just spoke about, that's available to you here in the U.S., right? You can I tell the boys that the train will come off the track. You can reach to the California if you want. There's probably some more risky ways you can do that, but you don't know. You don't want to end up in places you don't want to end up, right? And you CARICOM people, your passport is more friendly in certain places, right? I won't lie though. I don't understand what India High Commission this got going on in Guyana, right? But I feel like they just be promising things, but they don't really be upholding it. So you gotta go and do your own due diligence, eh? But the Guyanese passport you get the hookup. Maybe somebody you gotta get him some beer money or something, right? People like freeness, but you can apply for like good visas that even born Indians can't even get to go to India. Born Indians who they have to give up their citizenship the day over this side, and they gotta go in their own country like a tourist, right? But the Guyanese passport, it has some cachet. It does. It has some cachet. All the Caribbean passports have cachet. I remember this was like 3 years ago. I think his name is Tyro. I want to buy from Nigeria. I don't know if he's from Europe, but I don't know what part of Nigeria he's from. But that's probably not even important. And Tyro, like many other people that can raise those kind of funds in that period of time that he raised it, these people buy that same passport that people from the Caribbean will let expire and will not renew. They come in and they're spending big money too. They must spend out $250,000 for the passport. And you got one and you don't want to use it? It's like you're just taking 6 train. You're just like all from dope, to dope, to dope, to dope. You just, that's all you're doing? Are you gonna see Taratola? You didn't see none, you didn't see nowhere? No, that is not good. That is not good. So that's the end of the video. Just to encourage you. So if you choose not to take a tour, well, myself or any other, people that I know that do tours and stuff like that, right? Everybody has like their focus. Mine is like Guyana and India. Those are my focuses, even Africa. I've lived there. So, there's resources available to you. And you want to get connected to the most hands-on one as possible, because those people that are sitting somewhere and they're selling you something and they're telling you they're going to do X, Y, and Z for you when you reach there, and then you can go there and waste a whole that one is no good. I'm not gonna call any names. But you have options and you want to utilize your options, right? You want to utilize your options. You want to see places. You want to see a sunset in different places. You know where you can go find a beautiful sunset? Like if you're not in New York or something and you're not on the bridge. The next place I know that just has the most breathtaking sunsets is going to be South Florida. You know, down behind them way where them buy a catch hassa. them kind of people living a life in Florida. You hear me? They eating their hassa, fishing everything like they didn't even leave Guyana. But it's Homestead, South Florida, Miami, in Dade County. That is because the land is so flat. And because the land is so flat, the way you observe nature is completely different than if you were like in Georgia or someplace like that, right? Or Maryland or, any place like that. It's very different. Now, I ain't saying you for go buy a house down there. Me ain't saying you for do that, right? They're going to take you 2 hours to come out the traffic in the morning, right? But it is a good, amazing sunset. And even better, if you have little ones, they have the most comprehensive zoo. This whole East Coast, none of them children museums. From Brooklyn, from Massachusetts all the way down. No, not Connecticut. Nobody don't have anything like what South Florida has. And I think it's called Zoo Miami. You will thank me later. You got to get there on time when they open up because you're going to be trying to squeeze in everything by the time they close. All right. You're welcome. And check out my website, providencelifedesign.com. Bye-bye.